Look at the evening sky for you. Oh, that is beautiful. If you like that sort of thing, and we know I do. What does it say up there? That's coming from the south. Right. Oh. Good evening. You got anything to say? Yeah, you. Huh? You got anything to say? I fell asleep out here earlier. It was so hot, and I sat for a bit. This was after lunch. I sat for a bit facing the sun, but I was getting burnt, so I ended up facing the house because I'd got quite cold this morning. Dressed suitably for a day of being 22 degrees, but actually didn't warm up. We after physio, we went to the Gaston, and we had a table in the. It's not actually exterior, but it's in a covered. I don't know, sort of a covered area with glass, lots of glass doors, and they were open, sort of airing it out. So I didn't really get warm. So I got warm out here. It's cooling off quite considerably now. So I just thought I was going to go into Mark's room to do this, and then I thought, no, actually, it's light enough for me to be out here. So I didn't sleep that well overnight. I did get up, I think. Yeah, I got up and then I went back to bed, but I felt reasonably well enough this morning, and I unloaded the dishwasher and reloaded the dishwasher, and felt better as we left for physio, seeing that the kitchen was clear. It's not clean. I still need to wipe some. I need to wipe the stove top, and I need to wipe the worktops, but it's clean, and that'll do. This was clean on, and then I got my bloody dinner down me. I'd sprayed it all over because I'd got sardine oil, no, not sardine, tuna oil on it the other day, or olive oil. So I'd sprayed it, washed it, tumble dried it, took it out of the tumble dryer this morning to wear, and got my dinner down me. So physio was good. He is working hard in physio. And he had a really good night. He didn't move a lot in the night. He says to me in the morning, I'm not talking to you, and you won't come up here, will you? Huh? I can't reach you. I'd have to get up to get you. And he said to me when we were getting up, because I'd set the alarm, he said to me, did you sleep okay? I went, you didn't miss me then? He went, no. I went, well, you slept okay then. So he slept. He didn't move a lot. Can always tell when he's sleeping well, when he's not restless. So that's a really good thing, because he needs to sleep. I realised that part of what I need to think about is that when one of the rules that I understand when I'm talking to people on the health forum about PMR is that there are sick day rules. So if you're sick, you're meant to increase your steroid input to help support you during that sickness. I always forget, and of course I probably forgot last year. After I'd injured my elbow. I probably forgot last year when I injured my shin. It's what I do. So I probably should have added some steroids in last week to deal with the extra pressure on me, and I didn't. So I've remembered that today. So I took my steroids as I do normally in the morning, and then I realised and remembered. So I took an extra 5 milligrams, then I'll do that for the next 4 days to give myself a bit of a boost to get through this. If I do it for any longer, then I'm going to struggle to come back down again. So it's best not to do it for long. I looked back and found a vlog that I did of Mark sitting in his chair after his compression cooling thing came, and that was day 9, and today's day 10. And on day 9, he had been bringing wood in and had been down doing some mending at the chicken run. Which is interesting because I haven't got... it's been up and down. I felt that he's making progress, and then at other times I felt that he's not quite there. I'm not expecting miracles, but it's interesting to see that on day 9 last time he seemed to be more available. So what I noticed today was when we were so we had a lovely meal in the Gaston. I feel like we're part of the family there. I know we're not. We're only there about once a month, once every 6 weeks, but it just feels sort of like being part of the family. You get greeted, and they're all quite young in there. It's a very young... the couple that own it are in their mid-40s. So the staff are all young, but they all go, "Oh, hi, how are you?" And one of the guys has injured himself in rugby, and he's always injuring himself. So they start comparing wounds. So we had a nice meal in there. Mark really enjoyed his burger. Now, I talked about going to the Gaston on Tuesday, his first physio, and he wasn't up for it. But today he was. "I'm looking forward to my burger," he said. So as we were getting ready to come home, he said to me, because the sun has been really low, and it's this time of year, isn't it? And I don't notice it, but actually even at midday the sun is low, and it was really quite dazzling as we were coming out. And he said, "Do you want me to drive?" And I said, "Why?" He said, "Well, it's the sun's low." And I went, "Well, I'll put my sunglasses on." And then we sort of were going different ways because I was going to go to the loo again in the square. And I shouted across to him, "Did you want to drive?" And he went, "Not really." And I went, "Okay, that's fine." Now, for me, the indicator for me that he is moving on is that when he wants to drive, when he becomes a bit insistent about driving, and I'll be quite happy to hand that over to him, because I find it hard when I'm tired, the concentration and keeping my eyes open and being awake. I said to him the other day, I can't remember what it was now. I said, that was it, because we've got 2 choices coming home. We can come home along the D54, which is a bit more, it's slightly narrower than the road that we come back through into Saint-Savin. And so I said to him, "I'm going to come Saint-Savin way." I said, "The road's a bit wider. It means I can relax a bit and close my eyes and, not have to concentrate so hard." We do joke about stuff like that. We don't mean it, really, honest. Yeah, so I think I'll know when he's ready, because he'll want to drive. And of course, this time that leg's not being used when he's driving in the automatic, whereas the last time he picked up the driving, he was using his right leg, which had just been operated on. So we had a chat today about me probably expecting too much of him, and him saying, "Well, I probably could do stuff," but he was tired. We were both tired, but he was tired yesterday, and I couldn't ask him to do anything. But today I've got him to unload the tumble dryer and fold the washing, which he's done, and he's going to walk down to the chicken run with me, and when I close them up tonight, because I don't think... I need to let you know that Mrs. Cuckoo Maron she's not viable, I suppose is one word to put it. I caged her a few days ago so that she was in with food, and access to food without being bullied by anybody else. But I haven't, as you know, had the energy to put into feeding her. And I think by the time I caged her, she was already in that anorexic place of no interest in food, really. So I'm not sure she's been eating. So I've continued to put her in the cage at night. She's come out, and I've continued to put her back in the cage. But when I picked her up last night to put her in the cage, because she'd gone and hidden in the corner she hides in, she's just there's no meat on her. And I'd put a bit of washing out last night, and I was bringing that in this afternoon, and the other chickens were around, and there's no sign of her, and I hadn't got the energy to walk down, but I walked across a bit so I could look down, and there wasn't any sign of her at the front of the sheep shelter where sometimes they sunbathe. So I don't think she came out this morning, and I think maybe when we go down later she'll be dead, and if she isn't, I think she will be tomorrow. So all I can say is that one of the reasons we don't have that many animals, one of the reasons we didn't bring friends in for Ida when her mum died and when her half brother died, is that as we age and things like this happen, we're not able to take proper care. We're not able to give all that we should be able to give or could give to the animals. And she's had a good run. I've done what I can, but doing what I did was not enough. And the other thing for me is I've never been able to cull a chicken, and I should have culled her. And I've never been able to do that, even when they're tiny chicks. You know, we used to raise chicks, and I could never wring their necks and do all the things that people do. And that is good animal care, is when you know when to and can put an animal out of its misery. Now, the only thing I can stroke myself for or reassure myself is she didn't seem distressed. She seems happy and has been happy. And she's had a good life, and she's been out, and you've seen her. You know, she loves being picked up. She, she calls to us as we go down. She hears us coming, and she's very cute. And I feel very sad that I think that when we go down later, she might have already died. And if not, I think she might die overnight. To counter that, I've had some sad news from a friend of mine that I can't say any more about, that her husband is now coming to the end of his life. That was very sad to hear that, read that this afternoon, but she was just letting me know so that when it happens, it's not a shock. It's something we had sensed was happening, so it isn't a shock, but it's still very sad. But when that happens, I will say more about it, but at the moment, that's where we're at. So I'm just going to turn you back to the sunset because it's really pretty, and there might be a bit more vlog with Mark in it later. Meow. What are you meowing for? What? I just wish all this stuff wasn't in the way. I get glimpses of what's going on. I'm going to go out the back. There might be better glimpses of it out there. I'm going to pause you though, so you don't have to be roughly handled.
We're on camera.
I can do. We'll do after you've done your...
Need to do it. We're talking about it at some point.
Yeah, well, I will do. We'll do this, and then I'll do that, and then it'll be a whole long video. you, yeah. Gosh, so wet on here. Ida normally comes up, but she's a bit scared of the crutches. Go on then, all yours.
I don't know, what is there to say?
Oh, how lucky you are to have me driving from behind.
How lucky I am to have her driving me from behind.
But two people today. The physio said, that first exercise, she said as she left the room, she went, "Big Brother's watching you," meaning me.
In English, yeah.
In English. And then when we were in the Gaston and I was telling you where to sit because of your leg and that you ought to sit this way, and you were going, "Why?" Because as you always do. And even our favourite waiter said, "Do as she says."
Well, they play along with the game, don't they?
No,
yes.
They know that I am the chef.
Only because I've told them I nominated you for the position. All and sundry. Say they enjoy the joke. Yeah, physio visits are good. She's very good at giving positive reinforcement. And because I'm there and it's being paid for by the insurance, I suppose, as much as us, but you know, I put a bit of effort into it, and they've got you know, good equipment. You know, starting off with a big ball that I sit and put my feet on and roll forward and roll back, so that I can get more angle on my knee.
It's a bit like the ball that pregnant women sit on to open their uterus.
Oh, is it?
You could try that next time. Sit on it.
I haven't got one to open.
Nor have I.
Bloody thing.
Yeah.
I don't know how to get it to stop.
There.
Yeah, that's that.
You weren't the oldest there today, were you? In fact, I think you were the youngest, practically.
Alarm is
the least decrepit.
For my daily, I have to do my subcutaneous anticoagulant shot, which is sort of requisite after surgery. I seem to remember helping draw those out when I was working in surgery on placement in general training, but it's not actually painful. It's just not
pleasant.
Not pleasant, but it doesn't.
It's more pleasant for me.
Don't actually taste much.
More pleasant for me not doing it.
I'm sure. Yeah. But so yeah, she's a very good physio. So and then I've been doing steps. So I step up using my left to bring my right up, and then pass my right over the step down to the other side and back. That's difficult.
That did look difficult.
And then she raised it again a bit, so I had to put more into it. And then there's it's like a rowing machine. you sit, and the seat is on a rail, and it's got a weight and a foot pad, so you have to bring the right leg up to push myself back far enough to get the left up onto this big tread plate thing, and then the weight pulls you forward and you have to push against it. It's a bit like a rowing machine but with your feet rather than your arms, which is good. I mean, that's a new piece of equipment, so I've used that for quite a while. And then, oddly enough, one of the more difficult movements is to straighten that knee, to get it all the way back to straight, especially when I'm standing. So she hooked a long elastic around around a big support, and put that around my knee so that I stand back till the elastic is stretched, and then straighten that knee, and that's quite tough.
But you didn't do much of that. You'd had enough, I think, hadn't you?
Yes.
It didn't look difficult to me, but it must have been because you.
Yeah, even she was sort of saying before I did that, is that enough? Do you want to rest? And I sort of keep going. Started explaining lack of moral fibre, which I think at some level or other I inherited at some deep level. My father, when he was serving in the RAF as a gunner.
Nurture, not nature.
Yes.
Not genetic.
Nurture, not nature, not genetic. But when he was still training as an air gunner, I think it was an operational training unit, so they would fly lightweight, less dangerous missions, but still, I don't know, dropping things like mines out in the North Sea or over the European coast in places. But he was a gunner, I think, on a Wellington, with a bad pilot who brought the plane into land. And what you do is you level out till you're just over the runway, and then cut the throttle, so you just drop, and theoretically you get all three wheels onto the ground at the same time. This pilot did all that, but too high up, so in the end it stalled and dropped. Not hugely, I don't know how badly the plane was damaged. Dad was minorly injured, I think. I never remember him saying how much, but he was in hospital somewhere in Shropshire, I think, briefly. And the next time he went back to his squadron, he was kitted up, ready to go out in the next operation, got off the crew bus next to the aeroplane, and the way he described it, not in quite this, was he was going to go get into the aeroplane to climb into the turret, and his body wouldn't let him. I think you might call that hysterical paralysis in the genuine sense. This is not, putting a farce on or anything daft. And he, for a while, was near being classified as LMF, lack of moral fibre, which is a major trauma for an individual in the RAF. You'd get them put on demeaning duty like cleaning bogs and stuff and digging trenches, and you'd be put to shame, basically. You eventually risked being discharged with shame. He managed to get through that. I don't quite know how. The only one of the bits I know is I've still got, it's on his, I had his medals, court mounted, I think it's called, but he had a tiny aluminium St Christopher figure with in a brass slipcase. It's up there on the right, which he kept in a pocket as a sort of talisman, I think. Apparently that was part of what helped him get through, so he didn't actually get finally chucked out with LMF, and did manage to go back to operational flying, and eventually flew 13, I think, fully operational missions as a gunner. But I sort of wonder whether partly that formed some of the dynamics of how he was as my father. I've always thought of him as slightly distant emotionally, but supportive. You know, he was a decent man.
Because POWs were also treated unfairly, weren't they? They were given a bit of a hard time when they came back. There was shame in being caught.
Really?
Yeah, I think Dad says that in his book, that there was a shame in that,
not
being caught and not actually fighting. So yeah, I'm sure he says that in his book.
Maybe.
So perhaps we both have grown up with the shame of our fathers.
Yeah, possibly. And looking back through his flying log, his logbook, it's possible to read into that he, when he had recovered from whatever this was and was back in service, he didn't go back to his original squadron. I think he might have gone to another squadron. And I'm not entirely sure, but it looks as if he spent quite a long time in gunnery training, as if to prove himself to the RAF, I suppose. But anyway, by the by, really.
Did you have a nice burger?
Yes, we went out for a meal for the first time. Went to the Gaston, one of our favourites in Chauvigny. It's got a pavement part with they've got a big glass porch on it that you can go and sit in, which is very pleasant. Sort of, it's practically on the pavement, and people walk past the other side of the glass. And very, very nice posh burger with, I think, triple fried spuds, chips. Did you reckon? And a lot of trimmings. Very pleasant. We're sort of family there. There's one of the waiters is. We encountered him once in Poitiers, and he came up and said hello.
And he'd got his arm in plaster. Then he was off sick.
Oh, what?
His arm was in plaster because he came out of a shop. We were sitting on a pavement cafe, and he came out and he'd got family sitting alongside behind us.
Oh, did he?
And smiled at me, and I smiled back, and I went,
"Who? Yes,
I know him from somewhere. I don't know who it is."
Different place, different context.
Yeah, it wasn't in the right context.
Yeah.
But and that's not the shoulder injury he showed you today.
No.
That was
he got some bad knee injury.
Cruciate ligament that had to be repaired. Yeah.
Done in surgery, I think. So we exchange information about knees a bit, which is quite enjoyable. And I said, the ghost this time, and he showed me this other injury. Would have been his right shoulder.
He's got quite a scar
looked
there.
like a penetrating wound here, and apparently got steel reinforcement in it. Apparently,
but we didn't understand what he meant about how he injured it.
It sounded like an accident, but whether it was actually another sporting injury, but
I think he's accident prone.
Well, maybe
some people are.
So I advised him to play less sport because he's still playing. But yes, nice place. Yes, and we are remembered there, and which is nice.
And I spoke when I was doing the vlog outside earlier, when you were still watching telly, before we went to do the chickens. I talked about who's going to drive thing, and you didn't push it about driving. And I think for me, an indicator of you being ready and feeling much better will be when you say, I'd like to drive, or pushing the driving, and you didn't today.
No, I just, it's been stressful for you looking after me, not surprising.
No, it's always stressful looking after you. There's no different, really.
Yeah, but that's why I employ you. That's your job. It's in your job description. But I do like driving, but Kathy needs the practice partly, but I
need the practice.
Yeah.
Fuck off.
No, but well, you've often said that.
Well, I don't now. I've been driving the bloody thing for 3 weeks. I think my practice is over.
And I could drive perfectly easily, and sort of I'm just on the brink of thinking that would be enjoyable, but I just
not ready.
Not quite there yet.
And I think we'll know when you are ready.
Maybe.
You'll say.
Not for anything physical, because it's my right leg, not my left, so because it's an automatic. So yeah, but a nice day. Nice sunny, warm day.
We've got thunderstorms
Most
due
pleasant.
tomorrow.
Have we?
Yeah, that was that.
What's our next expedition?
Expedition down to bloody hospital to
Oh,
get
yeah.
the bloody ordinance for your physio because I
Yeah.
can't get it. The doctor's on holiday.
Got to get another prescription.
But
for
I
the
feel up for that
physiotherapy.
now. 2 weeks on. I wasn't ready to go down
Maybe
there
we're trying to
anymore.
explain it to French hospital bureaucracy again.
It'll be fine.
I'll probably have to go.
Go and see the secretary and just say to her, I haven't got. I've lost it. Tell her you've lost it.
Yeah.
I don't think we ever had it, but they'll just give you one. It's no problem.
Yeah. Or contact Dr. Lawson, I suppose. Or
no, they'll
whoever
just give you
stands in
an
for it
ordinance
now.
for physio.
Yeah.
It's simple, but when it is us having to do it, I need the energy to go down to the hospital, and because we can't do it on the phone because neither of us manage.
French by phone is
hate being on the phone. And I haven't had the energy, but I feel I've got energy, and I took an extra steroid this morning. So tomorrow we'll go down to Memorial and we'll pick up an ordonnance, and butter is what we need.
Oh yeah.
I might go in a Aldi or Lidl or somewhere smaller than that, and pick up some tomato, tins of tomato, because I didn't have any for the chili the other day.
No, the chili was nice, but it just
but it just missed that intensity of flavour, didn't it?
It would have reduced the saltiness I could taste.
Yeah, I didn't
which is
add
might
salt to
have
it.
been the Worcester sauce, maybe.
Maybe, yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to now go and watch
West Wing,
which we're enjoying.
We watched before. I don't know how many years ago since we've been here, but it's just really enjoyable. I think
over 4 years ago. I think
what stands out for me is because I watch politics, British, American. I've less sources of information about French politics, so I know less about it.
Through choice. We need to say through choice, because we don't choose to have it coming into the house.
And partly, in advanced old age, I have a sort of vague resolution to take less notice, just for the sake of my emotional balance. I'm not very successful at that, but I watch BBC, I watch Sky News, I watch Al Jazeera, I watch France 24 in English, and the usual YouTube and Facebook sources and bits and pieces that crop up. So I think what I take is a fairly broad range, given that internet algorithms are going to pick things that I'm going to go along with because they don't want to drive me away. So, I feel less inclined to read into things. I sort of let myself off and don't go
West Wing
that deep. Whereas West Wing, and governments, there aren't any governments these days that I feel particularly comfortable with. I suppose the last one might have been Obama, not a British one. I'm not terribly happy with New Labour, better than Tories, definitely. But whereas West Wing, you're in the middle of a government that has integrity, that works hard, that is working for we the people, an American phrase, but I like it. It should be about working for we the people on our behalf. But the West Wing government seems to do that for all the frictions and interpersonal dynamics and the emotional dramas that happen within it. They work hard, there is integrity, they seem to be doing as best they can the right thing. And it's
very well written.
It's like lowering yourself into a nice warm bath with a lot of soap suds in it and bubbles and stuff, which is very pleasurable. Especially
at this time, whilst we're watching the last dregs of the campaigning and biting our nails, and I am seeing reassuring stuff now on
and I can imagine the inside of Obama's government being like that somewhat. And I can't imagine Trump, not a chance.
he's not going to get elected.
Not a chance. Johnson, not a chance.
Right. Have you finished?
Yeah.
Right then.
Please feel free to carry on.
Oh, and Mrs. Cuckoo Marin was in her usual hiding place, and I picked her up when we went down, and she doesn't feel as scraggy as she felt.
Oh, does she not?
No, when I picked her up, whenever that was last night, because I've talked about it on here earlier on in the blog. So I picked her up and I put her back in the cage, and she was very interested in the corn and going for corn and food.
Good.
So
it wasn't driven off?
No, because she's in a cage. They can't drive her off. That's why she's in a cage. Right. So that she's got complete access without the woolies. So yeah, not how I expected to find her today.
Good.
So I'm quite pleased about that.
Well, let's hope she survives. But
but at the end of the day,
we're more into the facelift.
She doesn't have.
She's improved once because of your administration. And then faded away again a bit.
I know.
So.
But she's so cute.
Yes.
She's a bit of a pet, really.
She's become tame.
Yeah.
She likes being picked up.
Yeah, she waits for that. You know, gets excited when we go down, and I feel really bad because I'm not administering the care I could administer.
What else
but I talked about that, about how, when Ida's mum died and when her brother died, we didn't replace them because as we get older, we're not able to give the care that we should give. No. And,
not that they were demanding when they were alive and okay.
No, but it's like we're reaching an age. It's like now I'm really stretched to try and take care of the animals. So, right then. Okay, thanks for watching.
Not at all.